Hello and welcome. I'm a tree, and this is a review of Dimension 20, Season 2, Escape from the Bloodkeep. Starting with an overview, Escape from the Bloodkeep is a live play D&D series produced by Dropout and released in spring of 2019. It's a 6-episode miniseries contrasted to the 17 episodes of Season 1, with the average episode length just north of about 2 hours. Just like Season 1, Season 2 episodes alternate between roleplay and combat episodes, with the final episode being extra long for the finale to the season. Brennan Lee Mulligan returns as the Game Master for the season, but with an entirely new cast of players. Season 2's player cast is Rekha Shankar, Matthew Mercer, Amy Vorpal, Mike Trapp, Erika Ishii, and Ife Nwadiwe. The setting is high fantasy and an overt parody of Lord of the Rings, where players take on roles of the Dark Lord's lieutenants and confidants. After the fall of the Dark Lord to the forces of light, the players must figure out what to do as the Empire of Darkness crumbles away. For my overall impressions, I'll start by saying that I think 6 episodes is a great length for a miniseries like this. It's longer than one-shots, which can often feel like they're just over as they begin, but even shorter and more focused than the already truncated length of the 17-episode-long first season. A miniseries like this is a great place for a viewer to get their feet wet and decide if watching live play D&D is something they would enjoy. And this season is enjoyable. The heavy emphasis on Lord of the Rings parody material can make the season less engaging for anyone not familiar with the source material, but the parody is clearly good-natured and made by people who love Tolkien's work. Most of the comedy of the season is rooted in this kind of parody, but there's still plenty of both character-based comedy and off-the-wall reference comedy to provide a variety in the laughs. Brennan is still stellar as the game master, working with a full new cast of players while creating a world that is distinct from the previous season. He also works well with players of varying skill levels. For instance, Rekha and Matt sit next to one another, Rekha being new to the game and Matt being about as experienced as anyone could reasonably claim to be, and Brennan is able to work with both of them, and of course the rest of the table, to give everyone a time to shine and bring the most out of the players. The miniature work and set design is once again incredible. Season 3 only has 3 combat encounters, but they're flavorful and distinct and pack a real punch. I still really love the miniatures and set designs of the Dimension 20 seasons. The quote-unquote evil player characters are also fun to watch, who provide their own reasons to care about their success, despite the alignments on their character sheets. Mechanically, the players in the season are all high-level PCs. However, the story doesn't allow rest downtime between each combat, raising the stakes encounter by encounter as their resources dwindle with new challenges continuing to appear. The miniseries doesn't have time to deeply explore characters or do arcs in the same way that Fantasy High did, but it's still able to fit in moments of characters learning and character growth, and reach epilogue conclusions for the characters by the end of the finale. While, once again, I won't go through every player character individually, I will mention Kraz Thune, or Leland as he's more commonly called, played by Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer is probably most known for his work on Critical Role, so seeing him here as a player character is a fun treat. Leland is a solid performance, and if you're just interested in seeing Matt Mercer as a player character, then you won't be disappointed. However, the standout player character and my personal favorite for the season is Sockbar, played by Mike Trapp. Sockbar as a character concept threads the needle for me in a couple ways that I find satisfying. It's a character that feels like it belongs in this Lord of the Rings parody world without being an explicit homage. And Sockbar also has enough personal character moments, for instance, with his relationship to Jeremy and the other beasts of the world, without having too much backstory that could never be fully explored in the short miniseries. However, what brings it all together is Trap's portrayal. Sockbar doesn't get the most spotlight in the season, but Trap's sharp wit and real-world insight mean that whenever Sockbar does anything in the season, it's worth paying attention to. As for a rating, I'm going to give Season 2 of Dimension 20 Escape from the Bloodkeep a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it when it came out, and when I rewatched it to make this review, I was still pleasantly surprised by how well it kept up. However, the season does have its flaws. The setting is so heavily mired in parody that it lacks much of its own identity. The table also struggles at first to find a consistent tone, eventually settling on a comedic parody over dramatic interpersonal conflict, but by the time it's settled, the season is already half over. The ending is also a little unfortunate. Brennan talks in some of the behind-the-scenes material about how the original concept for the season's end had to be scrapped based on the direction that play progressed. And the ending we get is functional, but clearly a compromised solution. The final villain the party faces is basically just the last remaining NPC in the story, who has little to no connection to the characters or the overall narrative. I still think Escape from the Bloodkeep is fun, but I also think that Dropout has produced better seasons in the years since it's released. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for Season 3, The Unsleeping City.